What up, everybody? With the death of Mirkovic in Force Season 3, Episode 1, and the Serbs off the board, their clientele needs a new connect, so Tommy and Diamond, as well as Miguel, are trying to make moves to fill that void. Miguel got to the Albanians first, and they agreed to the price of 30 a key from Miguel, and even though Tommy and Diamond offered them keys at 28, the leader of the Albanian crew, Peter, wouldn't go back on his commitment to Miguel. So Tommy told Diamond their move needs to be to play the long game, continue to build the coalition up with other crews around the city, then go back and undercut Miguel and take his clientele. So the next move that Tommy made was reaching out to the Italians, who agreed to work with Tommy and CBI. And even though the Italian Mafia has famous members from the city of Chicago like Al Capone, they aren't as powerful in Chicago today as they once were, but they are still active in Chicago as well. And we don't know all the details concerning Tommy's meeting with the Italians or any of the players from the Italian Mafia in Chicago because the meeting took place off screen. But Tommy likely used the fact that he's half Italian to smooth things over. Keeping in mind Tommy's father, Tony Teresi, was a capo in the New York Mafia and leader of a hit squad in Queens up until the early 90s when he went to prison. And the Chicago Mafia is definitely also connected to the New York Mafia, at least at the top of the food chain. I do believe that they are connected in some capacity. But when Tommy met with the Italians, they likely also figured out that he was from New York. But because this meeting took place off screen, we don't know the extent of the conversation or what questions were asked. But Tommy should really be careful when it comes to dealing with the Italians, keeping in mind all the problems he had with the Italians in New York City. This was the whole reason why Tommy left New York in the first place, because New York was no longer safe for him because of his mafia problems. Tommy not only killed a capo when he killed Benny Savello in self-defense, when Benny came after Tommy for killing Joe, but Tommy also killed Vincent in self-defense when Tariq gave Vincent the job to try to stop Tommy from saving Ghost. And Vincent was the boss of one of the 5 families. So just think for a minute what kind of danger Tommy was in when it comes to the Italian Mafia. He killed a boss of one of the 5 families, a capo who happened to be a boss's nephew, as well as multiple soldiers. Doing that, I'm not sure if Tommy could ever go back to New York, even if he didn't have issues with the New York law enforcement, because I don't think that the New York Italians would ever take the bounty off of Tommy's head. But the good thing for Tommy is right now, he's dead in New York after faking his death, so everybody thinks that he's dead. But Tommy connecting with the Chicago Italians could change everything, because the fact the Chicago Italians likely figured out that Tommy is from New York, they could do recon work looking into information about Tommy, potentially reaching back to their contacts in New York to see if they know anything about him. And even though they won't be reaching out to New York to initially cause problems for Tommy, the fact that they're reaching out, asking about Tommy at all, could cause problems by itself, because it could reveal the fact that he's alive to New York. And it's also been said by Joseph Sikora that Aunt Dolores' character, the niece of boss of one of the 5 families, Carlo Savello, would be in Season 3. Carlo was also the uncle of Benny and Joe Proctor. But Debbie Mazur, who played Aunt Dolores, commented on one of Joseph Sikora's IG posts a while back when a fan commented he wishes she was in Force, and Joseph Sikora said Season 3, indicating Dolores would be in Season 3. But at the same time, just because Tommy has problems with the New York mob doesn't mean Chicago would make it their business either, because every family has a different boss. And if Chicago has business with Tommy and they're making money together, they could try to stay out of New York's beef with him. Not to mention, with Tommy connected with CBI and the gang coalition. The Chicago Italians aren't looking to go to war with a more powerful crew. But in addition to Tommy having problems with the top of the mob for killing Vincent and Benny, Elisa Marie Proctor also figured out that Tommy killed her father, and the last time we saw her on screen on Power, he was telling her if she wanted to come see him about it one day, he'd understand. And we got to believe that day is gonna come eventually. Could it potentially be in Season 3? I definitely think there's a good chance that we could at least see Elisa Marie introduced back into the storyline whenever Dolores returns. Another clue that Tommy would have problems with Elisa Marie and the New York mob in the future is when he killed Proctor. Proctor told him this isn't over, with Tommy replying to Proctor, "For you it is." But concerning Elisa Marie and her getting revenge on Tommy, also keep in mind that she knows that Tariq was in on it and that he had been playing her after Tommy told her he found her through Tariq. And Dolores had figured out that Tariq was who left the back door open for Tommy to come in. When Tommy snatched up Elisa Marie, he also had her stay with Kate for a while, and Kate mentioned Cash in front of Elisa Marie. So Cash and Kate are two people who the Italian Mafia could target to get to Tommy once they figure out he's alive. A couple Italian Mafia clues that were mentioned in Ghost Season 4, and other ways there could potentially be a crossover now that Tommy's connected to the Italians in Chicago. Is first, it was said at the beginning of Season 4 that Jenny Sullivan was busy chasing mobsters. And second, it was said that Kane had been selling guns to the Italians. Once Kane started working under Noma, he wasn't just moving weight, he was also selling guns. And the Italians were Kane's clientele. And like I said, because the New York mob could have contacts with Chicago, either the RICO case that Jenny's building or the guns that Kane was selling to the Italians could connect back with Chicago. There's also the wild card of Miguel and his plan to get to Tommy that was revealed in Season 3, Episode 1. How Miguel plans on taking down Tommy under the radar by using Tommy's enemies to kill him, saying he would hand Tommy over to his enemies so it doesn't trace back to him, so he doesn't have any problems with Che or Mireya. This left the door open for Miguel to potentially connect with some of Tommy's past enemies from New York who want him dead, keeping in mind that Miguel already has a contact in New York also that was giving him information on Tommy in Season 2. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.